Welcome back, everyone. My name is William, always here with iMan, and today we're going to talk about a potential 1000x.
Damn,
What
dude.
do you think, iMan?
Kidding me, dude? That seems too high.
It does seem too high, right?
It does, but I don't know, man. I think I might have gone a little too ambitious on this call. Just because
Just
not
a
every
little
day you
bit.
get to click with like I don't even know what exists out there that has done 1,000x. There's Ethereum. Ethereum's definitely one of them,
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I mean, obviously, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin. So Chainlink is probably on its way.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But
Now the
all I'm saying,
graph, the
like I
graph is
feel
probably equally as important, but it's not going to do 1000x. So
it just because like by the time the graph was introduced to the market, like the market was kind of aware of its need,
yeah,
right? So it was
yeah,
already like highly valued by the time it hit.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It got the big investors, all this shit. It didn't have any trouble like onboarding developer use because like developers all in the space recognize like we need this.
yeah,
You know? So I'm thinking after doing some research into
yeah. We,
this.
we spent a lot of time doing research on this one.
Yeah, and that's kind of like what we like. We were talking about this the other day. Like, we could be moon boys and like be shilling like what's hot, like this the hot sectors right now. The copycat fork projects that are just doing the same thing that like everyone else is doing, right?
Yeah,
Make a different variation of it with like a different food token attached to it or something like that.
right.
That's boring, dude. That's
Yeah,
lame.
yeah.
There's plenty of people doing that. So, well, what gets me interested was whenever we identify something that's missing from like the whole puzzle that's being built here, right? Like every little protocol you invest in are pieces of like an overall puzzle.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, are going to interconnect and form this thing we call DeFi, you know, or I don't know, Web3, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So let's talk about what this project does. So it's a dev protocol, and what they do is they tokenize open source software. That's what OSS means.
Yeah, I didn't
And
even know that until just now.
yeah, and so they tokenize open source software. So what does that mean? So this means, I mean, if you know what we do, and you know what we've been talking about for almost 2 years now, is you have to bring some sort of element of incentives to developers for them to develop.
Yeah,
And there's no developer that's going to build anything in an ecosystem where there are no users, right?
yeah,
And there's definitely, it's going to be more difficult for them to develop anything in an open source way if there's no level of a compensation. So what they do with Dev Protocol is they tokenize your GitHub repository, and they do commit farming. And so with this protocol, now that any developer who uses GitHub that develops any project, any blockchain project, or any project for that matter, can start earning tokens by having people stake their dev into their project.
yeah. So the project itself has to use the protocol to mint their project token, right?
That's right.
Creator token is what they call it. So that token is what allows the community who's supporting the development of that project to stake, basically delegate their financial weight. Think of it
Yeah.
as like liquidity provision in a way, you know. And in return, believe you're earning the native token that's being minted, right? If not dev token, one of the two tokens, either the dev token is what's getting allocated to you,
Yeah.
or this creator token.
So I think it's up to the creator to decide to send tokens back to the staker. But
Yeah,
at the very minimum, once you stake your tokens into a project like Viper, then there's an inflation rate on the token. So some of that inflation goes to you, and some of that inflation goes to the project itself. So that's how they can fund their operations with the dev token. So we're looking at current staking rewards. So stakers and creators, they share roughly a 51 to 49% share on the actual yield. And what's interesting is that Dev Protocol is using a Yearn V2 Vault in order to generate this yield.
that's right. See, that's something else I wanted to look into. Damn it, I wish we did. Maybe we still can, because the V2 vaults I think aren't either they're like barely released or they're not even accessible yet. They might be like in their beta
Yeah, I
stage.
think there's a few projects. I know one that's using V2 Vaults.
So
but it's
that,
early
that's what I
stages.
wanted to see is like, because there's some speculation like circulating around the thorn bushes, that Andre, if you know who Andre Cronier is, he's the developer of the Yearn ecosystem.
Hmm.
And he's been on record, through Twitter and other social media platforms discussing this very need for this kind of ecosystem to emerge in order for decentralization to work.
Yeah.
That's kind of like Andre's big focus, right? He builds DApp protocols all day, every day. Some of them work, some of them don't. But the point is, he builds them, he lets them loose, lets the community aggregate around it,
Yeah.
supply it with the liquidity it needs, and then he just steps away, lets the community self-govern and run itself. That's kind of like the overall vision of this space, right?
Right. Right.
Everything is supposed to operate like that. So the big unproven what if, like what, or like, the big mystery is like, how the hell are people supposed to, for one, like self-organize within like an ecosystem, like an environment like that where nobody's delegating, right?
Yeah.
And like, how do you like incentivize people to actually participate?
That's
you know
right. That's right.
so and he's publicly talked about these critical issues that really aren't like mainstream awareness right now in the crypto space, because all these DApp protocols are barely in their like infant stages as far as like launching their DAOs.
Right.
So we don't really know what the participation looks like yet. So, but he's already anticipating this is going to be a future problem. So the speculation is maybe he might be looking into a protocol, either this one, maybe he might be inspired by it to build something very similar to it.
Right.
But regardless, it'd be interesting to see those V2 vaults, to see, because Dev is for sure using those vaults.
Yeah, for sure.
So I feel like if there's only like a handful of projects like who has access to that part of the Yearn ecosystem, that has to be a good indicator. You know what I mean? As
Yeah.
far as like collaboration.
Yeah. So I'm going to bring up the dev protocol here, and I'm going to look for their tweet. But yeah, so the main idea, so they're going to be releasing an incubator too. So I think we were having a discussion and a debate on what kind of an incubator is this going to be. So the way
Yeah.
that I read this incubator is that the Dev Protocol incubator will deliver support to the most ambitious and dependent upon open source projects. Stay tuned for more. So I'm thinking that the Dev Protocol organization is going to fund some developers directly. And what were you thinking, Iman?
Yeah,
That
there's
this
not really any details, right? All it says is incubator. There's no like blog post or nothing as far as
nothing.
details. So
Yeah.
all we could do is like imagine what this means. So I'm imagining, I mean, I know the incubation space is like becoming hot. IDOs, you see things like PokeStarter,
Yeah.
you see things like pools that just launched, you see things like DuckDAO and all these other incubator platforms that are like decentralized versions for projects to, you know, basically kickstart their communities through them. So I'm imagining Dev somehow like riding off of that wave somehow, because it's already a platform. It's already like a developer aggregator platform, right? Where you're already coming to the protocol to mint tokens, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why not add on a different like value add to the protocol where you not only can you make these tokens, but you can also raise liquidity at the same time through the
Yeah.
same protocol and incubate your community that way. That's what I'm hoping. Whenever the details drop, that's what it's going to be about, but we don't know yet. You know.
Yeah. So here's the tweet. So Dev Protocol is excited for Yearn Finance V2 launch. V2 includes a wide dev vault that yield farms to support Viper Lang and Viper Fund. So these are the two different open source projects that are using Dev Protocol.
Yeah.
We can take a look at Viper Lang. So Viper is a Python smart contract language for the Ethereum virtual network. So this one, I think, either supplements or competes with Solidity. Do you remember?
I don't think it competes. I think it enhances it in various different ways. If you're a developer, if you're a Solidity developer, you know what Viper is basically.
Right.
It helps with the development of your dApps. So this is like something only developers are aware of. because they're the only ones who have use to understanding what this is. So
Yeah.
I don't know. This is why I like to label it as 1000x potential, because like the stage of this project is so under the radar, in the sense that in the same sense that Chainlink was so under the radar, I don't know, in early 2018, 2017, and the fact that only developers were aware of its necessity, right? Because they're the only ones building.
Mm-hmm.
They're the only ones dealing with the dilemma of like, how are we supposed to relay data from the off-chain world to the on-chain world? You know, it was probably very like non-efficient, non-practical, you
Right.
know, non-viable. So whenever this Chainlink protocol was, these Oracle protocols started to hit the market, they were the first ones, you know, adopt them.
Mm-hmm.
So what's coming up here on the dev protocol is they have tons of evidence of adoption, which is good.
Yeah. So, like for example, 1,500 open source projects are onboarded to Dev Protocol.
Yeah.
And just to describe the grant farming, it says patrons stake the Dev token for projects they support, which mints new Dev tokens based on the protocol's APY.
Mm-hmm.
So this is just think about this, like just as a use case, is you see a project, an open source project using Dev, and you're like, I like this project and I want to support this project. So you get some Dev tokens, you stake it with that project using stakes.social. And once you stake it in this project, 51% of the yield goes to the project and 49% goes to you. And so you're incentivized to support these projects, right? So you're creating this ecosystem of the ability to support a project's growth by also, gaining some on, on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we like this project, because it supports the development community, which is the single most important community in cryptocurrency, right?
Yeah, and we don't necessarily know. That's why if you read their white paper, they use like kind of like obscure terms like I don't know, like reward, community rewards, things like that. And then like Will brings up like, what the hell does that mean? How do you reward? Like that's not specific enough. But I think that's the point, is when you're building a protocol like this that is kind of like, it's supporting like the underlying infrastructure for projects to emerge and to self-sustain over time. Over time, like these projects, while they're minting more and more creator tokens and increasing their allocation rights to like two different token holders or token backers, whatever you want to call them, we don't know how they're going to structure their reward
Yeah.
systems. Like,
Yeah, because it's up to the developer. I mean, if they want to reward with NFTs, I mean, they can do that. I mean, it just depends on the project.
I mean, if they want to, like if you're a 10% holder of or staker, I mean, of the dev token supporting their protocol, maybe one day they'll be like, hey, we're gonna airdrop fucking a shit ton of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and if you, based on your staking rate, you know, so it's gonna vary from project to project. But the point is, like, these projects are gonna have the resources and the token resources to actually do something, you know,
Right.
to harbor a community, to incentivize people to develop. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Right.
It's the same thing we see with the graph, like GRT, Chainlink. Like these ecosystems have multiple different actors to them, right? Like there's a lot of different cogs in this wheel to
Yeah.
get it going. So you have to compensate and incentivize every single actor in like a perfect harmony in order for these things to, to work.
Right. So let's see what else. I want to go to the website here, and so here are the different projects that are onboarded. So Viper, for example, has 1 billion in assets. We have View, which is 50K GitHub users, and then we have Chalk, which is 8 million GitHub users. So these are pretty big projects using the protocol here, the Dev protocol. So we have the Dev token. Let's see if we can bring up the tokenomics here. So there's 1 million tokens circulating. There's 12 million in circulation. I mean, in max supply. And there's an element of inflation as well, just to support all these projects and make sure there's growth here. Then we have governance, meta governance. and some use cases. So foundations, bounties, and communities. And then here's the market cap again. Is there anything else that we can think of that's important? The team. And so we have.
This is important. The team is emerging from Japan, and we haven't even talked about like their VC backers. They're all Japanese VCs, so they're not. These aren't like these big name Pantera Capitals. You know these. Right. What are some other big ones? DGC.
Or
you know, all the ones that we love to see, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you get that stamp of, you know, Western VC approval, all of a sudden everybody like busts a nut, right?
Right.
But this is a little more. This is why I think this project has 1000x potential in the first place, because they're kind of like putting it to the side a little bit because it doesn't come prepackaged with these already like, you know, bedazzle, like they're not blinging out yet.
Yeah, I mean the reason why it can be 1000x is because we're looking at a market cap of 4 million.
Yeah, but
I mean, so we're that early in this particular project, but this protocol seems to make a lot of sense for us, which is why we like it.
It's so early. Yeah, like I said, it's the problem is not like a mass awareness problem yet, because the development space and like the DAO ecosystem hasn't hit it yet. I think that wall of reality hasn't hit everyone in the face.
Yeah.
But I think it will at some point in the future. So yeah, to be clear, like this is not like some kind of like hype pump project that we think like
definitely not.
Next week is gonna go to the moon, you know, some shit like that.
Yeah.
This is definitely like speculative, because this problem is going to exist for sure, but we don't necessarily know if dev is going to be the one to.
That's right.
Like, you know, the all-in-one solution to it. You know, there's plenty of time for more development to happen in between solving this problem and now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
Regardless, this team is doing great. Like they're cranking out all the smart contracts. I think they're audited. We definitely need to do more research into that, see if the smart contracts are audited or not. But I believe they are.
Yeah, I think they are. I think I saw it somewhere. I think in their own GitHub.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Also, right there, Microsoft startups, dude. So what does that mean to you, dude?
So obviously Microsoft's a big name. So they have a sort of like a venture arm for startups, and I guess they won one of their grants. So and Microsoft purchased GitHub, and they're providing a tokenization protocol on top of GitHub. So there's another speculative aspect to this project contributing to the 1000x.
Exactly. This space loves speculative plays, right? Like the crypto space. Anytime like a project is associated in any way to like some kind of mainstream tech arm, like you're saying. I remember back in 2017 on Misego, like one of the co-founders was pictured like holding a skateboard on his Twitter.
Yeah.
And they had like an Apple logo on the skateboard. So everyone just like, oh my God, Apple partnership, right?
Yeah.
And the fucking thing went like 100x or something like that.
Yeah.
And of course, unfounded, totally not true.
Yeah.
But regardless, like this market can pick up on anything and like use it to like cook up a narrative, you know, for people to get excited. In this case, like this is a legitimate Microsoft for startups. Whatever that means to you, I mean, to me, it's just, it sounds like the tech is definitely proven. It's solid. Microsoft is interested. Like you said, they actually have a personal stake in this space, like because they own GitHub. So to me, that's important.
Yeah. So that covers everything we wanted to go over with you today. So make sure you follow us on Twitter at The Block Runner and also Metazone.io, and like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about Dev Protocol. Do you agree with us? This is a huge potential of a protocol here. And let us know in the comments, and we will see you tomorrow.
Okay, thanks. Peace.